Hello there, you delightfully wonderful person. This is Chris from TechSperts, and I'm here with the fresh new Oppo Reno 2. Now, it seems like not very long ago that the Reno 1 was launched. I think it was around April, May time, so less than 6 months ago now. But now we've already got the sequel, the Oppo Reno 2, launching here in Europe today as this video goes live. Going to get it fully unboxed and have a play around, see exactly what's changed on the hardware, the software, give you everything you need to know. Now, first up, this thing is properly shrink wrapped, so I'm going to have to resort to a pokey SIM pin device to actually get into the thing. There we go. Always keep one of these at hand for your unboxing purposes. Definitely very handy indeed. Now, first up, the box itself is an absolute beast. It's definitely comparable to the OnePlus 7T and 7T Pro one. Go check out my full unboxings of those if you haven't yet already. Oppo Reno 2, so I'm guessing you just get the usual quick start guide and everything in here. Yep, lots of fun shenanigans. There is the actual device itself in all of its glory. We'll stick that aside for now. We'll take a good in-depth look at that in a moment. Let's just see what else you get in the box. You get a handy little cover case, and it's not like your usual simple transparent cover that you often get bundled in smartphone boxes. This feels like a much more substantial affair. Feels quite stiff, said the Bishop's the actress. Mottled on the inside there, and yeah, it feels quite nice. It feels kind of almost like a sort of a fake leather type thing, but not quite. It's got that sort of texture to it. And of course, also in here you get your VOOC charger, bit of VOOC 3.0 supported by the Oppo Reno 2. You get your Type-C USB cable, bit of pokey pin device action, can never have enough of those. And you get a pair of in-ear headphones as well, bundled in there. They're fully wired, of course. They're not like AirPod style true wireless or anything. But yeah, they actually look quite nice. So it's a handy little addition there. And there you go, that's everything that you get inside of the box. So now the good stuff, the actual smartphone itself. As you can see, some of the specs and features are given away there on the cover. And this is the Ocean Blue model. As you can see, they're very aesthetically pleasing indeed. As it strikes the light, you get these nice sort of almost purpley contours around the edges. Just kind of morphs the color. Looks absolutely fantastic. A nice sheen to it, and hopefully, touch wood, it won't smudge up too bad. Certainly the original Oppo Reno wasn't too awful in that department compared with a lot of these glass handsets. And it's Gorilla Glass 5 around back and 6 up front, and you do actually get a pre-installed screen protector on there as well. So this thing is tougher than Jason Statham's last bowel movement. If you don't want it in Ocean Blue, you can also pick it up in luminous black. And oh yeah, it's worth mentioning as well, you've got the bit of O-dot action there as well. So as you can see, it's basically a little metal nubbin which just protrudes from the surface, and that just helps to protect the back end whenever you rest the phone down. And it's worth mentioning, while we're actually talking about design, you actually do get a 3.5mm headphone jack on this bad boy as well, which is becoming increasingly rare, so that's always lovely to see. Right, now let's see if we've got any juice in there, and then we can get the Oppo Reno 2 all set up and take a bit of a tour of the hardware and the software. Right, so we're all set up. The Oppo Reno 2 is ready to rock, and we are in to the UI. Now, as you'd expect, it's once again ColorOS version 6 slapped on top of a bit of Android 9. No Android 10 out of the box, unfortunately, but hopefully, touch wood, that should be coming very shortly indeed. So as you can see there, version 6.1 of ColorOS slapped on top of version 9 of Android. Now, I've already done a full tour of ColorOS version 6, so I'm not going to go through every single individual feature again. I quite like it because in its sort of standard overall general layout, it's quite similar to stock Android. You do actually get an apps tray, which is lovely, so it's not like MIUI or anything like that. You get the likes of the Smart Assistant, which is actually pretty decent. As you can see there, it's very similar to the OnePlus Shelf, just basically gives you fast access to your favorite contacts. With various other widgets as well, so all of your pertinent information, and it's fully customizable. And of course, if you dive into the settings, there are a plethora of features in there. At least it's sort of reasonably well logically laid out. You got the likes of the digital wellbeing, you got full parental controls if you're going to be giving it to your nipper. The likes of the convenience aid, both some really good stuff as well. Some nice gesture supports. We dive on into there. As you can see, you got 3-finger screenshot, raise to turn off the screen, things like that. You can play around with the navigation setup as well, so you can actually have a navigation bar down below. You can change around the order of the buttons, or you can just use good old swipe gestures instead. As far as security goes, you do actually get an in-display fingerprint sensor here on the Oppo Reno 2, but you can actually use a bit of face recognition as well. So let's just get this all set up. So as you can see there, you've got a little shark fin camera, which pops up whenever you want to take a selfie or do a bit of the face recognition. So exactly the same setup as the classic Oppo Reno 10 times zoom and all the rest. You do brightness compensation when you're in the dark, and we'll get rid of that annoying swiping as well. And then that's all good to go. So now when we press that power button, the little shark fin pops up, face is recognized, and you're straight into your desktops. Or if for whatever reason you can't use the face recognition because you've been in a horrific traffic accident or something, you can just use that in-display fingerprint sensor instead. And as you can see, again, super nippy, just straight into your desktops, no hanging about. Now the fact that you've got that shark fin pop-up selfie camera means of course you've got a gorgeous full view display here. It's a 6.5 incher, so nice and spacious. Be ideal for kicking back with a bit of YouTube, bit of Netflix, something like that. Now it's a full HD plus resolution AMOLED panel, as you can see there, just fills the entire front of the phone. Absolutely stunning stuff. And the fact that it's an AMOLED means you get nice bright picture quality. I believe it tops out at about 700 nits, so not quite on par with the likes of the OnePlus 7T Pro, but definitely will do the job. That is pretty searing all the same. You get those nice deep blacks, there's some pretty good contrast, nice punchy colors as well, but it doesn't seem to be going over the top. And if you actually dive into the display settings as well, you can have a bit of a play around. So as you can see there, you can mess around with the screen color temperature, and you can also dive down at the bottom here and play around with the screen color mode as well. So it's in vivid at the moment, still not over the top, just the nice punchy colors, but you can also stick it on gentle mode, as they call it. Sounds very nice indeed. And as you can see there, sRGB. I'm not sure how much of the sRGB gamut is actually covered in that gentle mode, but hopefully more sort of natural, realistic looking colors. Now I'm very intrigued to see what kind of scores the Oppo Reno 2 churns out when benchmarking and how it handles the likes of PubG Mobile, because it rocks the Qualcomm Snapdragon 730G chipset, quite a new platform. It's a slightly updated version of the also very new 730, apparently aimed more at gamers, so it's got a bit of a GPU boost. And the Oppo Reno 2 packs in 8GB of RAM, so absolutely stuffed full of memory, so hopefully it should be a pretty damn decent gaming device. So out of curiosity, just ran a super quick Antutu benchmarking test on the Oppo Reno 2, and as you can see there, got a score of 211,000, so perfectly respectable for a chipset that's sort of a mid to upper range rather than a full-on premium chipset. So you defeated 58% of other smartphones out there. GPU performance not fantastic, only defeated 37% there, but of course I'll be giving it a full PubG Mobile test to see exactly how good it is for the gaming. On top of that, as far as the specs go, you get 4000 milliamp battery, so that should hopefully keep you going all day, even if you're absolutely hammering it with the apps and all the rest of it. And it supports a bit of VOOC Charge 3.0, so not the Super VOOC, unfortunately, not the super nippy one, which uses actually dual battery partitions, but instead apparently it should still give you a 50% charge with about 30 minutes at the plug, which really ain't bad for a 4000 milliamp cell. As you can see there, you got the usual intelligent power saver options, high performance mode. Let's get that power level shown in the status bar. Great stuff. While we're here in the settings, let's dive into the storage, which I believe is in additional settings. Yep, there we go, right at the top. And as you can see there, 256 gigs of storage. That is the standard amount. I don't believe there are any alternative SKUs, but still plenty of space for all of your apps, your media, whatever you want to chuck on there. As you can see, only 3.7 gigs of it has actually been used up to begin with, so plenty available for all of your stuff. And I believe the Oppo Reno 2 also supports micro SD memory cards as well. It's definitely a dual SIM device, so as you can see there are 2 SIM trays. And yeah, that does indeed say micro SD. I'm not sure what the maximum capacity is, but if you want to expand your storage, it looks like the Reno 2 will support it. So let's move on to that camera tech now. And as you can see there, the Oppo Reno 2 sports a quad lens rear camera setup. You've got a 48 megapixel primary lens, f1.7 with built-in optical image stabilization. That's backed by an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle lens, f2.2, and a 13 megapixel telephoto, f2.4. And that telephoto lens offers a 2x optical zoom, but it does not have built-in optical image stabilization. And then last but not least, but actually kind of least, is a 2 megapixel depth sensor for your portrait shots. Now if you boot up the Oppo Reno 2 camera app, well, it's your typical Oppo effort. As you can see, lots of toggles and features to wrap your noggin around. You can just take a quick shot like so, and of course you can switch between the various lenses with a little tap of this icon. So there's the 2x optical zoom. Give it another tap, you've got your 5x hybrid zoom using a combination of optical and digital. Tap again and you're into the ultra wide angle shooter. Final tap and you're back to where you began. As I say, lots of toggles up top. As you can see, of course, you're in HDR auto mode to begin with. A little tap here and you can get the ultra wide angle macro mode on the go. So good if you want to shoot a nice up close subject using that ultra wide angle camera. You've got your dazzle color feature as well, which I'm not entirely sure it actually does that much, to be entirely honest. If you checked out my camera reviews on previous Oppo devices, seems to give a little bit of a boost to some of the sort of the greens and the reds, but not a massive amount of difference. And then of course you've got your selection of filters right here as well. And then this final icon is a quick step into the settings, and as you can see, there's plenty to play around with there One of the first things I usually do is go into the watermark and turn that off, but it looks like it's off by default, thank God, on the Oppo Reno 2. Phew. Because you've got AI scene recognition, and you can play around with the video resolution, as you can see there, boosting it all the way up to 4K resolution. Sadly, not at that 60 FPS, that's only available on Full HD and below. And you've got a bit of slow-mo video res as well, that tops off at 1080p. Now, Oppo seems to have really focused on the video side of things for the Oppo Reno 2. So just tapping into the video, as you can see, you've got various sound settings that you can do, including sound focus, which actually follows a tapped subject around. You've now got the super steady feature, or ultra steady as Oppo has termed it. That's similar to the super steady feature found on the likes of the Galaxy S10 series, where basically if you're moving around really fast, you're cycling, you're jogging, something like that, you can nip that on. Basically it cuts right in. I believe it tops out at Full HD. I don't think you can do it at 4K resolution, and that just allows you to get some nice fairly steady results. I'll be of course fully testing that out. You can of course use any of the lenses in order to do a bit of your video recording, including the ultra wide angle, something you couldn't do on the likes of the OnePlus 7T handsets. You've also got a live bokeh mode, another feature that was also found on Samsung's recent premium handsets. As you see, you can actually change the bokeh level. So apparently, yeah, if you've just got a single subject, you just shoot a nice bit of video, it'll just blur out the background and really help them to stand out. Again, I'll be testing that out for my full Oppo Reno 2 camera review. And then again, you've got the usual filters and everything else. And you've got a handful of other bonus modes as well. Of course, you've got a good old portrait mode, which you can tap into at any time. Just uses that depth sensor to, again, help blur out the background on your subject. And then a little tap here, you've got a small selection of other bonus modes, including the new updated night mode, apparently now better than ever for your low light shots. And again, this appears to work with all three of the lenses. So again, I'll be giving that a full testing out. And then finally, of course, you've got that 16 megapixel f2.0 front face and lens in that lovely shark fin format. So hopefully that should produce some nice, crisp, good looking shots. So the portrait mode seems to be working really nicely there. As you see, just locked onto my rather haggard looking mug now. It is a Monday evening as I'm shooting this, so I'm feeling very much in need of caffeine / booze / both at once. And of course you can shoot all the usual photos, and video I believe tops off at 1080p for that front facing one, but let me just check. Yeah, video resolution either 720p or 1080p using that front facing camera. Now before I forget or anything, let's just slap the Oppo Reno 2 into that bundled case and see exactly how it looks. So obviously it does mask that gorgeous reflective surface on the back end, which is kind of a shame, but if you want to keep your smartphone nice and pristine, that will do the job. Only adds a little bit of chunkiness onto it, and that will definitely help to protect it. It juts up nicely from the edge of the screen and everything there. So again, even if you face plant the Oppo Reno 2, hopefully should survive a treat. So there you have it, the Oppo Reno 2 in all of its glory. Are you tempted? Unfortunately, I don't have a UK price or release date just yet, because this is a week before the official launch, and apparently that information will be coming out during the actual launch presentation, but hopefully I'll remember to actually update it in the description, so check that out for all you need to know. It's definitely, you know what, I reckon it's going to come in at a good price point, around that sort of £500 mark. Offers, you know, hopefully slick performance, solid battery life, strong set of features, do like a bit of the ColorOS, nice full view display, and hopefully that camera tech will really perform as well. Hopefully I should have my full Reno 2 camera review ready right now as this video goes live as well, so go check out the rest of my TechSpert channel to see what I managed to get done before the official launch. And yeah, please do let me know what you think down below. Subscribe, ding that notifications bell, and have yourselves a bloody lovely day, people. Cheers!